Hello again, everybody. Great to have you along as we welcome you to yet another edition of Coming Together, sharing a number of things out there, but kind of get everything together the way it should be in this world. Wouldn't that be nice, huh?
Yes, absolutely, especially in leadership.
For sure, and that's what we're talking about today. Kathy Motlagh, I'm Scott Murray, and we're delighted to welcome you. So what are we going to be talking about today?
I think we should talk about human intelligence in the age of artificial intelligence. There's so much talk about AI, not that it's not important. Of course, it's up and coming and has been for a long time. And it is very exciting and lots of things that
it has arrived, hasn't it?
Yes. Oh, yeah. And it has arrived in a big way, which is a great thing. We need to embrace it. But also, we cannot forget about human intelligence and the humanity of our people in the workforce, the people that we deal with. So I think that human intelligence is going to become more and more important moving forward. Don't you think?
I think it... whether it is or is going to be, I don't know, but it should be.
Yeah.
I think is probably the best way to put it, because I was fascinated with AI when artificial intelligence, what is it? What does it do? Oh my gosh. And now that I've seen where it's come from and where it's going to, and this is fascinating. But as you mentioned, it's a different world. We've got to keep everything in perspective and not go overboard on one versus the other.
I think it's time to embrace our humanity, understand that it's the humans interacting with AI that makes it powerful. We have to give it the specific instructions and whatnot, programming, and all of that, so that we can benefit most from it.
Absolutely. Where do you want to start today? I'm going to let you pick it up and take it away, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so as far as humanity is concerned, one of our biggest assets is our ability to empathize. So I think empathy is an important component that...
And one that's lost in our world every single day.
Every single day. And it's one that I think if embraced by leadership, they'll find that it will be an incredible faculty, agency of humanity that we can use to connect with one another, to understand our clients better, the needs of our clients better, what can we do to serve our clients better through the language of empathy, through understanding. And in order to get to empathy, there are several steps, several predecessors to empathy that we need to understand and practice.
Now, let me jump on board here first.
Yeah.
Let's share with those out there that are going, empathy. And they sit there, okay, let's see, empathy. What's the best definition? How would I describe empathy? How does that fit into my world? What would you share with them?
Empathy is the ability to put ourselves in another person's shoes, quite literally, and feel their pain, feel their joy, feel what motivates them, feel and really get to know them on a level that's deep, visceral, and it's about them.
Yeah, it's not just agreeing with somebody or understanding what they're thinking. It's how they're feeling.
It's how they're feeling.
It's their entire scenario.
Exactly. Understanding where they're coming from, where their perceptions are, what their belief systems are, because all of those things contribute to how they view the world, how they react to the world, not just the world as a whole, but also the culture, the coworkers, the assignments that are given to them, the various roles they play in a corporation. So empathy, in order to practice empathy fully, we need to really honor the other person, honor and respect them.
Okay, you just jumped on. I was going to say the key word is respect.
Respect, yeah, honor and respect them. Without judgment, without criticism. Now, criticism, I don't mean not to be a critical thinker, not to be critical to a point that it's negative. Any kind of a positive feedback is always welcome by most.
Yeah, you can, as I've often said in my keynote, we're not looking for confrontation. We're looking for conversation.
Exactly.
You might not agree,
exactly,
but at least have a conversation between the two of you.
Precisely. So in order to start a conversation through the language of empathy is to really honor the other person, and we need to be humble. We need to practice humility in that we don't know everything. So by that disposition, our hearts open, our minds open, and we're ready to have that, open-hearted conversation with the other person about what it is that they want, need, Empathy is the first model for creativity and design. It's the first model for innovation. If you don't really empathize with the user, we're going to create perhaps something that is not user-friendly, that could be very too techy for our users or not techy enough for our users. So we really need to study our audience, understand our audience through the lens of empathy. And empathy does require for us to be humble, understand and know that we don't know everything. And so start with an open mind and open heart while honoring and respecting the other person and keeping the ego out of the equation so that we can truly connect. So I think that empathy is a huge component of our human intelligence that we need to use again.
Every single day. Do you have one example or any time that you look back in your life when you were building your whole personality as a young person, whether it was junior high, high school, college, and even post-schooling, where empathy played a role in something that you did, or you saw someone else, maybe a classmate, maybe a dear friend, where the example of empathy could be shared with our audience?
Yeah, I think that with every meaningful relationship, friendship, whether it's work relationship, friendship, or it's a personal one, empathy is really needed. And if we don't practice it, then what ends up happening is we lose connection. So throughout my life, I've always considered myself, or really tried to be as empathetic as I could. I don't always nail it. You got to understand that we're not perfect human beings. There are times we're not.
Been there, done that.
There are times where we fall short, and that's okay. That's part of being alive, being human. We make mistakes, but the acknowledgement and recognition of, what, I could have been more empathetic.
Well, if you understand where you came from, where you are, and where you stand at that particular point, are you going to move forward in that negative way, that confrontational way, or in a conversational way, and move forward and be confident about who you are? And just move forward in a positive, productive way.
Exactly. So I've used, I consider myself an empathetic individual, and so I, do my best to use that use that important faculty and agency to connect, to have conversations, whether they're good conversations, difficult conversations, also to create, when we create anything, when we do our leadership programs, when we do our power of authenticity, for example, the very first step we take is we empathize. We sit down with every single participant to learn about them.
Yeah, get their thoughts, who they are, what they're all about.
Exactly, what their concepts are about various things, because those are all important things.
Yeah, and they'll be different than everybody around the table, but you can come together and make it gel and say, okay, didn't totally agree with that, but you know what? If we add this and that to it, we're in good shape.
Yeah, and also we don't have to agree with everything.
We don't.
We don't. It doesn't have to be.
But collectively, we can all come together.
Absolutely, and I think it's our strength lies in listening to different viewpoints, different approaches, different ways of looking at things and addressing.
And you build
things
on what you might have had in mind, and suddenly it goes from here to here.
Yeah.
And if it gets negative, it goes the other way.
Precisely. So empathy really opens the door for so many possibilities, and empathize with yourself. I always, when you say be empathetic, you're part of that whole.
Yeah.
So being empathetic towards yourself, I think, is an important component. A lot of people forget about themselves. I have to be that. That's what lends to people pleasing. People pleasing is something that a lot of people complain about when it comes to addressing leadership training and whatnot. And I say, you know what? There's nothing wrong with pleasing other people, just as long as you're part of the people.
Got to be part of the package.
You have to be kind to yourself. If you feel that you have overdone it, you're overwhelmed, that's a clue that, my body, my soul is telling me that I need to take it easy.
Yeah,
I need
chill out.
Yeah, I need a self-care day. That kind of thing. So I think that that's really, really an important part. And when we're being empathetic, we're not necessarily in action mode. We're just trying to understand and connect. We're trying to establish a baseline. Now, compassion is empathy in action. So we are moving forward and acting upon our agreements and what that individual needs, not what we think they need. So that's an important thing in leadership, because a lot of times leaders do what they think their people need, their workforce, their teams, their leadership team needs. And often when we do that, sometimes we're right and sometimes we're not. And it's in those moments of when we're not right, then what happens is we miss opportunities, we miss a lot of growth potential and so many other things, and also connecting with the people that we really count on to move our strategies and initiatives forward. So I think that those are really an important part of our human intelligence.
Okay.
And the other one is love. I love love. I think that loving people and approaching every situation with an open heart in a loving way changes your presence, changes your outlook. Love first, judge never.
Don't get too carried away with love, because that's coming up on our next effort and our next edition, if they say it. I guess we could put it that way.
Yeah.
Our effort, our edition, whatever, as we continue with coming together. That young lady is Kathy. I'm Scott. Till next time, stay safe, be well. Empathy, the name of the game today.